All right, so the microbiome is fascinating, and today I'm going to go through a full case study that I would do with someone here that I have with a GI map. I'm going to transparently show you everything that I do in a situation like this, getting these results back in the exact protocol methods that I use to get this person to heal. This is a GI map from a client that I had from several months ago. He came in, very healthy. He was, into bodybuilding, doing all the right things, but he was just struggling with the most severe gut issues. And a lot of people just because you look good on the outside, rippling abs, everything, he was still struggling with intense, obviously, abdominal pain, bloating, some acid reflux. And so that's when he met me, a functional health coach who looks at these things. And the microbiome is fascinating, and there's so much stuff out there about it. But I'm going to walk through some of what some of these values mean and how they partake into the specific symptoms that he was experiencing. So, what I use usually with specific gut issues is that I use a GI map, which is pretty much a comprehensive stool analysis that measures gut bacteria, microorganisms, viruses, and parasites. Even now, this isn't for parasites. This isn't the full body, but if there's parasites in the GI tract, then it will detect that. So if we take a look at the left here, there was pretty much high enterococcus, which is pretty much a bacteria that's with inside the GI tract, obviously, but it's more of a commensal bacteria, meaning it's more not negative bacteria, but it's pretty much mutual relationship with inside the GI tract. Obviously, what I have put here is that higher levels of it will obviously reduce digestive capacity, leading to acid reflux like symptoms, lower stomach acid, and obviously increase small intestinal bacteria overgrowth, SIBO. Okay. Obviously, the next thing we have is high lactobacillus, which is actually pretty normal for individuals that take probiotic supplements because lactobacillus is a high bacteria strain with inside those. But just like hormones, if they're high or if they're low, either one is imbalanced. It's the same thing with the microbiome. Meaning, if we have high lactobacillus, okay, that can still impede our digestives, our GI tract, so to say. So it's almost like a Goldilocks. You need it. You have to have it, in the perfect spot in the middle. And obviously, like I said, high levels will reduce your digestive capacity. And obviously, how you can get higher lactobacillus is from obviously overdoing probiotics, but also excessive intake of carbohydrates, which is normal for people that are bodybuilding, looking to build lean muscle tissue, or even when we look at the people that are following high processed diets, a lot of carbohydrates that are processed, full of sugars, all of that. Next is low akkermansia, which is a tall tale sign that there's some type of metabolic dysfunction. Now, this individual here, he was struggling with, some insulin issues, which actually plays a huge role with akkermansia because akkermansia helps with GLP-1, um, which is actually, it as semaglutide, but it actually, GLP-1 comes from your gut, and it comes in response to short chain fatty acids and akkermansia. Okay, so when akkermansia is off, then that can impede metabolic functions like insulin because GLP-1 plays with insulin and glucagon. Okay, so that's a key indicator. So we have some imbalances here, and then bacteriophili here, which is pretty much the digestive bacteria with inside the mouth, nose, throat, and colon, so large intestine. Obviously, what I have here is when there's a imbalance of those bacterias, which can come from caloric extraction from food, or impaired insulin sensitivity, or increased inflammation. All these things can indicate that you have this type of bacteria over imbalance. And if we move into the next slide here that I pretty much am showing here that there's a lot of dysbiosis, is which we'll call it. meaning there's a lot of, overgrowth of bacteria within inside the GI tract. Okay. And so I kind of have a breakdown of like the specific bacteria strain and what does that actually indicate as it being high. So obviously, bacillus, high levels results from digestive function. Okay. Either SIBO or constipation can, cause bacteria overgrowth of this type of type. Okay. Enterococcus or enterococcus results in reduced stomach acid. So if someone's taking PPIs for a long time, then they can get this type of bacterial overgrowth. So I won't get too much more into the specific strain. Just know that this overgrowth of bacteria indicates like SIBO. And so there's a lot of, gut bacteria overgrowths going on here, which I'll show you exactly how I fixed it. And so here, what we have is pretty much, if we look right here, immune response. So we have circulatory IgA was elevated, meaning the immune response, aka the intestinal lining is what I like to say. This marker here kind of indicates that there's some intestinal permeability, aka leaky gut, because immunoglobulin A, okay, that's with the IgA, immunoglobulin A, okay, is in the intestinal mucosa. Your mucosa is a lining within inside your GI tract. Okay, so it's like your first line of defense. Okay, and it helps you, fight antigens and pathogens from the external environment. Because if it's impaired, then you obviously have those, inflammatory toxins flow into your bloodstream, which then causes an inflammatory immunological response. So here we can see that the GI tract, the intestinal lining, tract is impaired. So this now indicates leaky gut. Anti-gliadin IgA is pretty much is a component of gluten. So it kind of just shows that the individual is struggling with high amounts of gluten sensitivity, so to say. My apologies. So obviously this person was eating gluten and it was having a bad, immunological response. Okay, so what we got here was that there was some dysbiosis of commensal bacteria, a dysbiosis of opportunistic bacteria, and some leaky gut, and obviously some gluten intolerance. So here's the exact process I did to get him to heal. Now he's doing amazing. He has no bloating, zero constipation, zero acid reflux, way better pumps in the gym. He looks tighter in the waist. He feels tenfold in energy. He actually had low testosterone, which is testosterone raised naturally now just from healing the gut. So what we did though is that we followed a lower FODMAP diet, okay, and I actually went lower on the histamine, okay. I went lower histamine just because of his circulatory IgA and some of his other markers back here. I focused on omega-3s because there's a lot of inflammation within the GI tract. And so I used specific supplementation for that. Then I also use foods like olive oil, salmon, chia, flax, and walnuts. Next is I use broccoli sprouts because they contain a lot of sulfur, which helps the liver and the detoxification pathways. Okay, so it helped get kind of the toxins out of the body through the liver. Okay, and so I used also some liquid protein coming from bone broth, collagen, and then I use Corporform. And what this is essentially is pretty much helping with the nutrients inside the bone broth, like the collagen, helps with the intestinal lining, rebuild, the mucosal lining rebuild, and then also lower that GI inflammation. And it's just full of great nutrients. I kept calories at maintenance because I didn't want to, suppress calories down because I didn't want that to be a stress in the body. And then I also didn't want to overeat because that would also stress the body. I didn't work out. I didn't train him. Okay, so I didn't use any intense exercise because there was already inflammation within the GI tract. I didn't want to inflame it more. I did lower protein. I increased healthy fats, phytonutrients. I didn't eat that. I didn't feed him that much fiber because I didn't want to, irritate the gut because sometimes more fiber is actually worse until we get the gut balanced because all the fiber is going to do is feed into the bacteria inside the gut. So he went lower, made sure they chewed food correctly. So he didn't, have any digestive secretion issues. I made sure that he was obviously gluten-free from the, anti-gliadin IgA test, reading, Made sure, no alcohol, coffee, caffeine, obviously no artificial sweeteners. I didn't have him chew any gums. It's very almost, elimination type for a few weeks, but obviously we reintroduced it back in. Now he's doing amazing. Obviously, we avoid some foods that cause bloat and then all of that. So I pretty much used the 5-hour gut protocol. I've removed all the negative things like the bad bacteria, the artificial sweeteners, the higher FODMAP foods, high histamine foods, high oxalate foods, and the bacteria killers to kill off the dysbiosis with inside the GI tract. I replaced digestive enzymes. I re-inoculated a few weeks after with prebiotic higher FODMAP foods with also proper spore technology probiotics. I supported the gut lining, intestinal lining health with specific supplementation, which I'll show you here. And then I rebalanced the gut microbiome for a few weeks for a full, complete vitality transformation. No pun intended. But, here's the supplements that I used. I know it sounds like a little handful, but this is just a quick. He's not retaking all of these all the time. This was just a one-time deal. And so we're looking to use these type of killers, antifungals and antibacterial, to help kill off this dysbiosis with inside the gut. We use biofilm to resolve because biofilm is like trapped bacteria. So you have to use these type of supplements or different types of herbs that help get into that GI tract to really dig deep into the gut bacteria to remove it. I use a supplement called Tummy Rescue, which is zinc carnosine, that helps rebuild the mucosal lining and lower the GI inflammation. 𝐏𝐫𝐶 BR helped with his blood sugars while also being an antimicrobial, berberine being a big one. Okay, I used endocrine support for the thyroid because the thyroid actually influences the GI tract heavily. So poor thyroid health slows down gut motility, which then can lead to constipation, which then can ultimately lead to GI inflammation, and also poor intestinal lining health, leaky gut, and also bacterial overgrowth. So I supported that. I used Ultra Clear, which is actually for the liver and actually works on phases 1 and 2 of liver detoxification. I used Metagest, which is a betaine hydrochloric acid supplement that helps with digestive secretion and all of that. And then I use adaptogenin supplement to help with stress in his life, improve sleep, and even healing modalities. And these are the exact steps and breakdown of how I help my client heal his gut, get back his life, lower the inflammation, and finally live a life that he wanted. Now he's able to digest his nutrients more efficiently. He has way more energy. His testosterone has skyrocketed. He feels better than ever. He has improved performance in the gym, and he's doing way better now. So appreciate you watching this. And if you want a transformation like this, exact breakdown, no emotion, just straight results, then you know where to find me. Thank you.